Right. This stuff is terrible.
Islam. What's that?
Stuff needs work.
Yeah, I'm telling you, bro.
You got new stuff in this? So what? We got new stuff.
So open up some of these fucking windows. I think I'm gonna just come up. Islam Morris, 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Hold on, sorry, 1 second. That's the left. Yeah. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth. Peace. Freedom. And justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide. And my salvation. By night. And by day. Through his holy prophet. Noble Drew Ali. Islam.
Shut up. That's on camera, I'm sure, right?
Yep.
Oh, shit. Sorry, man. Sorry, man.
Prophet warns all Muslims, governors, ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work in their homes or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Drew Ali. Islam. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now, by the same people of our side of the nation that claim that I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I've performed in the past few years. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam. This is the instruction from your prophet Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you would be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Drew Ali, and that's why many hearts have been turned to stone. Many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they would be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving. and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear, see, but would sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your profit. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah would bless you for your good work. Peace, your divine prophet, Noble Ali. Islam. With all the stuff going on, I want to just give Moors have any perspectives on the madness going on. And yeah. If you have any thoughts on that, we'll just start with that, and then we'll get into today.
I mean, now, from what I've seen, it's just more, just picking up on the civil rights. Like people talking about rights now more often. With the whole thing with the truckers now it's madness. I don't get it. They're wasting gas going up and down in each cities, small towns. They even ended up as far as my city, Hamilton, right? For what reason? I don't know. What they say, the pen's mightier than the sword, right? So protesting, what's it really going to do? Yeah, it's going to bring awareness, but it also brings, it also has the cons, right? And we have the lawsuits going on, with the GoFundMe page for those truckers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're getting sued. Because of noise and all that and everything that's going on. It's too noisy, and the outcome of it is no, because it's what all you're doing is just causing noise. You know what I mean?
Noise pollution.
Noise pollution. Right? You got the trucks, giving off emissions, and especially I don't know how they fit themselves down in Hamilton and Ontario, small little town.
Yeah.
Small little town of Hamilton. They found themselves down on King Street. My cousin couldn't believe, she told me, she's like, I don't know how they ended up on, the trucks are all over the place. I don't know how they, because it's a narrow, it's not
it's not even big.
It's not like Toronto, how the streets are wide, right? So, madness, distraction, it doesn't make sense. Right?
I remember when they're on the overpass on the 401.
Yeah.
And I seen them with some boxes. Is it up?
Yeah. It was like when the soldiers were doing some soldiers thing or whatever, and when they were passing by, everybody was on the bridges.
I remember that.
Yeah. No.
They're ending up on streets.
Yeah.
Causing people to lose their minds. What the outcome is, there's nothing other than, like I said, people complaining in the end.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games because, it's exciting at first, and you realize, neighbors complaining now, it just doesn't make sense.
Inconveniencing other people.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. As I said, I was saying to Kujo this morning that, the right to peaceably gather is something that's woven into the very fabric of sort of our social contract. And to me, we talk about some lawsuit or some whatever that's going to make the difference. I'm there for that. I think that's where it's going to be, the difference is going to be made. But, I'll bet you this, same amount of people turned up for the Raptors championship, turned up for this thing yesterday, we'd be talking something different today. I'll tell you that right now. Same amount of people showed up for the Raptors win, showed up yesterday, we would make some change. The real issue is that this thing is being run by unconformed consent. The very police are people like you and I. They're policing us from the very workplaces. You can't go in. You can't go in here. You can't go in there without this thing that we're saying we don't want. Yet you're saying that, oh, we're not forcing you to do that. It's a guideline, yet the guidelines are being enforced. So it's not a guideline. It's just like we're talking with this lady here about black. I don't want to be identified as black, but some people do. So wait, so that's the case, not because it suits your purpose, you're going to identify, you're going to say that we're okay with calling them black. That's not the case. Because what you've done is you've now sort of covertly or subvertly, instituted your game plan, right? Oh, the government didn't say that you have to have a vaccine. No, but the insurance companies are saying we're not going to give you insurance unless everyone's vaccinated. And then so the workplace has to follow by it. So in the end, you have to be vaccinated or else you're not going to work, right? So I don't know. I just think it's a lot of what do you call it? Just a lot of smoke and mirrors. And I am appreciative, I think, of the fact that to me, it needs to be demonstrated that there are people out there that don't agree with this. Because I kind of feel, I was thinking about this, we come in here, we sit in here, we're the Moors, we're better than everyone. But yet, our life is just as shit as the rest of these people, except in our minds, which I'm not saying isn't where it's at. But, as I said, tomorrow, because we've been acquiescing, they tell you that you can't go to your work tomorrow without it. You're going to be getting that. If for the most part you don't have some other option. And what I'm noticing is most of us don't have other options. And that's because of what we've allowed to happen to begin with. So anyways, it's this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. But, I remember us talking about this 4 or 5 years ago, about this shit coming down the pipe, and we need to have a place. We need to have our stuff set up, and we need to be self-governing. Right? It's all.
Any other thoughts? So last week we had the Masjid brothers.
The what?
The Masjid brothers were here. And we got to read this Koran and all this stuff. So let's see what Koran. Let's see what Koran says, and then see if that's in harmony with the teachings, as well as if it's in our favor to even be considering certain things, because from our studies that whether it's Christianity, whether it's Judaism, whether it's Islam, there's some man-made created stuff. Keep people in mental servitude through religion, through some form of worshiping something. There's a God, and there's a prophet, and there's messengers, and there's holy this and that, and holy places you could go to. If you die, you're gonna get there and all that. So I myself wasn't a subscriber like that, because even when I was going through the literature, because I get it on the back of the 101 questionnaire, but then it's not saying the QU. So why the hell am I talking about this for if it's not saying the QU? Right. These people say QU. Right. You know what I mean? Like, they don't say K for Quran. They say QU. That's what they read. Right. So when I go through the literature and everything's saying K, and there's no QU, and then he's telling Moors, don't let these foreign Muslims be on your rostrum and all this, right. Then what is this really about, right? So in the Moorish Leader's Historical Message to America, Noble Drew Ali said, the Quran should be of interest to all readers. It is the Bible of the Mohammedans, ruling over the customs and actions of over 200 million of people. It is a work of importance, whether considered from a religious, philosophical, or literary viewpoint. And that's what he said about the Quran. But he has the K there. Right? He also made reference to when he was Muhammad, certain things. I remember when I was Muhammad. So him telling Moors, we honor all true and divine prophets, and then giving you the list of the prophets, and then on the 101 questionnaire talking about propagating the faith of Ali, not the faith of Muhammad, then he's obviously the next prophet up. It's obviously the next prophet up. So anytime I see in our literature, it says Quran, I'm going to circle 7. The religiousized idea is going to go to the Q. Right? And like we've been seeing, you know what I mean? This thing we were even talking about, you know, do we really want to go? Because what are you going out there to do? Like, to do what? Go pray 5 times and all that stuff? No. Like, you know.
I read the Da Vinci Code actually. The Da Vinci Code says Quran with the K.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking on that,
It doesn't say Q.
if you do the etymology of Quran, right, it'll say K. It'll say Arab is Q.
Mm.
But it'll say the original is Al Koran with the K.
Yeah. Yeah.
And time off of that, now here's another one. Treaty of Tripoli, where it's in Article 11, where it says the United States is not at war with any Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
You look up the etymology of Muslim, and it'll say Muslim.
Yeah.
Muslim. But if you have to get an etymology dictionary. You cannot just be relying on this online. You know, that's why it's important to own dictionaries, because they will edit information and not show you. Just how the Prophet said we're Muslims.
Yeah. Right. And a lot of that is going into the succession of the prophets, and Drew Ali being the last, Drew Ali being the one, right, for this day and time, right? And again, him always going back to using the reference of Quran of Muhammad, Moors as Mohammedans, you know, Muslim, Asiatic. Certain things are limited to him when you look at the 20s and the different people that are around and the language that everybody is using or whatever like that. He had specific language for us, you know, for us to get, you know, like I'm saying, like you're saying, find out that Quran is Al Quran and it's still the K, even if you're talking about some Muslim whatever. So where's the where's the force coming from that, you know, that this is where it's at and nowhere else? Especially knowing that there's a prophet that came after this one that brought a book as well. That's absolutely avoided at all times. Nobody wants to deal with it. As soon as they bring it up, they're talking about Aquarian Gospel and Levi Dowling or whatever. Yeah. Talking about Rosicrucians and he's a Mason and all that stuff. And not seeing that it's the holy book, just like the prophets before that had one. Right? So this is Surah 4. Surah 4, 135. You who believe, stand out firmly for justice, as witness to Allah, even though it be against yourselves or your parents or your kin, be he rich or poor. Allah is a better protector to both than you. So follow not the lusts of your hearts, lest you avoid justice. And if you distort your witness or refuse to give it, verily, Allah is ever well acquainted with what you do. O you who believe in Allah and His Messenger, Muhammad, and the book, the Koran, which has been sent down to His Messenger, and the scripture which He set down to those before Him. And whosoever believes in Allah, His angels, His books, His messengers, and the last day, then indeed he has strayed far away. Verily, those who believe, then disbelieve, then believe again, and again disbelieve, and go on increasing in disbelief, Allah will not forgive them nor guide them on the right way.
Some of the things that we've been talking about today, how do I bring it back and incorporate it into my real world environment? So to kick started, I always like to bring in some perspectives and words of wisdom, because again, there are lots of people out there
you got the
who
meeting.
say,
Right? Verily, those who believe, then disbelieve, then believe again, and again disbelieve, and go on increasing in disbelief, Allah will not forgive them nor guide them on the right way. Any thoughts on that?
I have to go back in it again because I got thrown off there.
Oh, okay. O you who believe, stand out firmly for justice, as witness to Allah, even though it be against yourselves. Be your parents or your kin, be he rich or poor. Allah is a better protector to both than you. So follow not the lust of your hearts, lest you avoid justice. And if you distort your witness or refuse to give it, verily, Allah is ever well acquainted with what you do. O you who believe in Allah and His Messenger, Muhammad, and the book, the Koran, which He has set down to His Messenger, and the scripture which He has set down to those before Him. And whosoever disbelieves in Allah, His angels, His books, His messengers, and the last day, then indeed he has strayed far away. Verily, those who believe then disbelieve, then believe again and disbelieve, and go on increasing in disbelief, Allah will not forgive them nor guide them on the right way.
So it says, disbelieve, those who disbelieve in Allah and His books, right? Not book. So you can't just say that book is the only. It's like you're contradicting yourself. So.
Yeah. In Allah, His angels, His books, His messengers, and the last day, then indeed he has strayed far away.
And he's giving the messengers too, right?
Yeah.
Prophet Ali, when you bring them up,
Mm-hmm.
when you bring him up to those Muslims, they're kind of like, whoa, they're stuck on that one thing,
Mm-hmm.
They don't. And it was interesting too when I asked the brother, I'm like, so what was before the Quran that you guys, and then he goes to Torah, right? So it was even that too. So,
Yeah.
So what about,
Which is
it's a lot of contradiction.
Yeah, which is why I would say his books.
Right.
Because if there's books before the Quran,
Right.
then why wouldn't you try to retrieve those
Right.
and study those?
Right.
Obviously, if they're on par with the Quran, then they're worthy of our read.
Right.
They're worthy of, using, it's not like all the lessons are going to be in this, because my whole thing with this is it's saying believe all the time.
Yeah.
Like, why is it saying believe? If we're good Muslims and all that stuff, then we shouldn't be in the believing.
Right.
Even as a religious individual. You know what I mean? Like you're still supposed to not be a believer.
Right.
You're supposed to know that Jesus walking on water is the sun shining on the water. That's what it is.
Right.
You're not supposed to have pictures of stuff that we can go research and find out. Oh, what picture is this? Oh yeah, this is a picture of somebody's uncle or whatever that they made and said is Jesus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right? But you know, is now with regard to the thing now, with regard to and whosoever disbelieves in Allah, his angels, his books, his messengers, and the last day, then indeed he has strayed far away. So that would mean that the believers are actually the ones that are straying far away.
You know what's interesting? I'm just thinking about Circle 7.
Mm.
I'm thinking about how even that. So there's the faith, fruition, and then
Yeah.
Belief, faith, fruition.
faith and fruition, right?
Yeah.
So the belief was the Torah, and then the faith is the fruition. The faith would be the Quran, and the fruition would be Circle 7. That's how I'm looking at this, right?
Yeah.
I'm still stuck at the faith part.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a school of Sufism, it's called
That's
Tariqa,
real.
right? And here's
Yeah.
that.
You know what chapter I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, more go ahead.
Oh yeah, so there's a school in Sufism, it's called the Tariqa, that's an order of Sufism.
Mm.
Right? Followers of Tariqa are known as Muridin singular Murid, meaning desirous of knowledge of God, of the loving God, also called Tariq. Tariq is also believed to be the same as Hasid Judaism and such and such. Well, they are known to believe in the idea that Allah sends prophets, not just, to the people when they're struggling.
Yeah.
So that's how
What's the name of them again?
Tariqa.
Tariqa. Yeah. What Ren was making reference to chapter 7, and Yahshua said, faith is the surety of the omnipotence of Allah and man, the certainty that man will reach deific life. Salvation is a ladder reaching from the heart of man to the heart of Allah. It has 3 steps. Belief is first, and this is what man thinks perhaps is truth. And faith is next, and this is what man knows is the truth. Fruition is the last, and this is man himself the truth. Belief is lost in faith, and in fruition faith is lost, and man is saved when he reached deific life, when he and Allah are one. Right. So belief is first, and that is what man thinks is perhaps the truth. They're saying that's the Torah, and then the faith is next, and this is what man knows is truth. And then this is dealing with the Koran and the Islamic paradigm and all that. And you could also put all the other ones under belief. You put the Christianity there. You can probably put Buddhism under faith.
Right.
You put Zoroastrianism under faith. You could put any of the New Age occult, whatever like that, in fruition. Certain ones apply in one of the slots. But it's about knowing and recognizing that the belief slot is first.
Right.
The belief slot is the baby. Right. So once you hear that language of they believe and they believe this and they believe that, we already know that it's a particular mindset where they're at. Right. Just like I'm reading this and then I'm saying, okay, well, if the Muslim mind is looking at this as the Christian mind looks at the Bible, and the Torah mind looks at the whatever, right? It's going to be the same lessons that gets pulled out metaphysically, because all of that stuff, that's the thread that's running through all the religions or whatever, that all of it's the same stuff. It's not no separation of whatever. There's no different ones. All of it's the same thing. And people took their little piece and ran with it and tried to be somebody or be a prophet or a saint or whatever. Right. And that's part of why I don't read this, just like I don't read Bibles and whatever else, because the metaphysical lessons that would come out of it are more like a reminder, not evolving. You know what I mean? Not learning something new, having the stuff going in your head, feeling the tingles and all that stuff because you read something that you never heard before, considered before. You know what I mean? But that's one of the things that it's just Islamic Christianity.
Yeah.
Then you read the Torah, and then that's just Judaic Christianity. And none of them have any substance unless you look at it metaphysical. But you know what I mean? We already got them. We already got some lessons.
I didn't mean to cut you there.
No, go ahead, more.
That's why I was saying circle 7 last, because that's the fruition. Like fruition is because no duality was at the belief, right? He was there.
Yeah.
And then he went. He got in the know. He came back and gave us the know. He said, "Yo, let's skip. You know, never mind. Let's just. I'm not even gonna give these guys the belief. I'm just gonna give them straight.
Just go straight to the fruition.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Probably said to study, and study yourselves. So if that's the case, why wouldn't you want to read the books that before?
Yeah.
Or even after?
Yeah.
If you're a Christian, you don't want to read the Septuagint, not Quranic scriptures. You don't read that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Stuck in your ways.
Stuck in your ways. And that's what it's not about. That's what it's not about. Getting stuck in the ways. Even when we talk about Juali stuff, because there's more stuck in the ways of that they're singing hymns to Noble Juali and all this. Surah 5, 80 to 84. Or 80 to 85. You see many of them taking the disbelievers as their protectors and helpers. Evil indeed is that which their own selves have sent forward before them. For that reason, Allah's wrath fell upon them, and in torment they will abide. And had they believed in Allah and in the Prophet Muhammad, and in what had been revealed to him, never would they have taken them, the disbelievers, as protectors and helpers. But many of them are the rebellious, disobedient to Allah. Verily, you will find the strongest among men in enmity to the believers, Muslims and Jews, and those who are al-mushrikin. And you who find the nearest in love to the believers, Muslims, those who say, we are Christians. That is because amongst them are priests and monks, and they are not proud. And when they, who call themselves Christians, listen to what has been sent down to the messenger Muhammad, you see their eyes overflowing with tears because of the truth they have recognized. They say, our Lord, we believe. So write us down among the witnesses. And why should we not believe in Allah and in that which has come to us of the truth? And we wish that our Lord will admit us into paradise on the day of resurrection, along with the righteous people, Prophet Muhammad and his companions. So because of what they said, Allah rewarded them gardens under which rivers flow. They will abide therein forever. Such is the reward of al-muhsinun, the good doers. But those who disbelieved and belied our proofs, evidences, verses, lessons, signs, and revelations, they shall be the dwellers of the hellfire. And that was Surah 5. Any thoughts on that one?
We're reading the Quran?
Yeah, yo, we gotta get our half hour.
Are you saying they got us?
Gotta get our half hour in.
Got one of the bots in there speaking.
Listen,
What is
they
that?
got us, bro. They got us. We're not talking about.
I guess he's finally speaking the language. But yeah, that once again, you know, it's like from that parable right there. I'm just thinking like that belief because where's the tangible evidence of what you're, you know? There's no, you know,
It's what man thinks he knows is truth.
right. So this is where it's at. Like they're literally now they're reading that and they're thinking, oh, so now I gotta look at the Christians a little different now.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. But all of them is the same stuff. Well, disbelievers and believers. When the reality is that the believers and the disbelievers are in error.
Right.
Both of them are in error and need to go check themselves.
Right, and then even when you read Circle 7, the prophet says it like we don't, you know, Christianity is for the Christians. We just, you know, we don't. It's not like told us not to throw out our Bibles.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Told us don't throw out our Bibles. You know, we just have to condemn the government and whatnot, but also to compare it to the other ones, right?
Yeah.
The similarities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's, you know, when you read the Circle 7, everyone's this, any of the other, you know, the denominations of religions and whatnot. You know,
Yeah.
There's no bias, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just straight knowing, like, it gets you to know. You know what I mean? It gets you to think and know. Just use your brain, think, you know? This one's just parables, like, you got to decipher it.
You have to be, that's the only way you make it.
Now, you know?
Only way you make it through.
Right?
Decipher this code.
Decipher. Sometimes just reading it for what it is.
Yeah.
Don't think of what the preacher is telling you. Read it. Like if you read Malachi chapter 4, it doesn't say S-O-N.
Yeah.
It's S-U-N.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That's why the probably the Circle 7 is so short. Look at it, it's short. You know, a seventh grader, you know what I mean? Someone in grade 6, 5, it would be
through that.
easy. Like it would be like, all right, this is easy. You know, like I can dig this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Simple. You know.
Yeah. Reading that one about the believers and the disbelievers and the Christianity and all that brought me to the Red Book, chapter 5 of the Red Book, Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood. And he abode with one, a Sadducee, whose name was Jude. And when he reached the temple court, the multitudes were there to see the prophet, whom the people thought had come to break the yoke of Rome and restore the kingdom of the Jews and the rules of David's throne. And when the people saw him come, they said, "All hail." But Yahushua answered not. He saw the money changers in the house of Allah, and he was grieved. The courts had been converted into marts of trade, and men were selling lambs and doves for the priests. And Yahushua called the priests and said, "Behold, for paltry again, you have sold out the temple of Allah. This house ordained for prayer is now a den of thieves. Can good and evil dwell together in the courts of Allah? I tell you no." And then he drove them out and overturned the boards. He opened up the gates of the captive birds and cut the cords that bound the lambs and set them free. The priests and scribes rushed out and would have done him harm, but the common people drove them back and stood in his defense. And then the ruler said, "Who is this Yahshua you call divine?" The people said, "He is one of the prophets wrote concerning, who would come and bring the world the love of Allah, made known to men on earth, who will deliver Israel." The ruler said to Yahushua, if you be the one to come, then show us a sign. Who gave you the right to drive these merchants out? And Yehoshua said, there is no loyal Jew who would not give his life to save his temple from disgrace. In this, I acted simply as a loyal Jew, and you yourselves will bear me witness to the truth. The sign of my messiahship will follow me in word and deed, and you may tear the temple down, and in 3 days it will be built again. Now Yahshua meant that they might take his life, tear down his body temple of the holy breath, and he would rise again. You men of Israel, hear. This man is more than a man. Take heed to what you do. I have myself heard Yahushua speak, and all the winds were still. And you will see his star arise, and it would grow until it is the full orbed sun of love. And Joshua said, prepare, O Israel, prepare to meet your king. But you can never see the king while you press sin in your hearts. The king is Allah. The pure in heart alone can see the face of Allah and live. Yeah. Now going back to the temples, the courts, everything being converted into marts of trade, right? And it's every time the Muslims are here, after me and Omar was talking about, the recruiting drive, that they're trying to get people. They're trying to make people into believers, right? Like for us, they're trying to, that's near denationalization, trying to take us out of fruition into belief. And then have Moors in the mosque doing all the mosque stuff as if that's what our ancient foremothers and forefathers did, like that. You know what I mean? The idea of opening up the cage of the captive birds, cutting the cords that are bounding the lambs and setting them free. All the things in the religion, the paradise, the gardens in heaven with the flowing rivers of the milk, with the honey of the Lord, and whatever. All these things that they're presenting that is not really in line with what the reward really is. You know what I mean? The idea that it's really your spiritual evolution. You know what I mean? It's really the divine messages that you receive. You know what I mean? Like with the Moors and the WhatsApp, always putting up the numbers, when the angel numbers. You know what I mean? And then it was a thing that was like, that it was, two Moors doing it. Now the whole thing, like, you know what I mean? It's just, it's like how people are in tune like that to pick up on it.
Right now, it's the triple one right now.
Triple one right now, right? Oh yeah. You can't make this up.
Yo, the chat said 111.
You can't make this up. You can't make it up. You cannot make this stuff up. The people talking about when they were defending Yahushua when this thing is going down, right? That with us having Noble Drew Ali as the front piece, as the presentation of the prophet, right? We have to even have the same type of perspective with him that they're going to take with Islam, that they're going to take with Koran, that they're going to take with anything that they're bringing, whatever the Christians are bringing, whatever the Jews are saying is their stuff. That's the conviction that we have to have with ours. You know what I mean? It has to be on that level. You know, it has to be on that level, right? Because when they're making reference to they would have done harm, but the common people were the ones who drove them back when they were trying to harm him. You know what I mean? It was the average individual. It wasn't the who was part of the temple and who was in it and who was it. It was the ones who knew what the truth was. They checked the message. They felt the love of Allah in their heart, and they knew we're going to defend this man right here because we're on his side before any of you people's side that have temples and that have buildings and that have this and that, thinking that you got us because we're in the institution or whatever.
The same common people see the other side. They're like, you know what? This side is even a lot better than the side that I see with these guys.
Even if it's a glimpse that they got. Even if they just looked and just saw a little piece and then they never saw anything else, they got to see. They got to experience what it actually means. You know what I mean? And they were like, we're riding with him. We're not riding with anybody else. Right? Surah 49. Surah 49, 7 to 11. And know that among you there is the messenger of Allah. If he were to obey you, follow your opinions and desires, in much of the matter, you would surely be in trouble. But Allah has endeared the faith to you and has beautified it in your hearts and has made disbelief, wickedness, and disobedience to Allah and His messengers hateful to you. Such are they who are rightly guided. This is a grace from Allah and His favor, and Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. And if two parties or groups among believers fall to fighting, then make peace between them both. But if one of them outrages against the other, then fight you all against the one, that which outrages, till it complies with the commandment of Allah. Then if it compiles, then make reconciliation between them justly and be equitable. Verily, Allah loves those who are the equitable. The believers are nothing else than brothers in Islamic religion. So make reconciliation between your brothers and fear Allah, that you may receive mercy. O you who believe, let not a group scoff at another group. It may be that the latter are better than the former. Nor let some women scoff at other women. It may be that the latter are better than the former. Nor defame one another, nor insult one another by nicknames. How bad is it to insult one's brother after having faith, i.e., call your Muslim brother a faithful believer, as O sinner or O wicked, and whosoever does not repent, then such are indeed wrongdoers. O you who believe, avoid much suspicion. Indeed, some suspicions are sins. And spy not, neither backbite one another. Would one of you like to eat the flesh of his dead brother? You would hate it. So hate backbiting and fear Allah. Verily, Allah is the one who forgives and accepts repentance, most merciful. Right? So going again with that, with the theme of the believers, and that obviously this is a message to those who are believers. Those who are in the realm of belief and not in the realm of no, this is for them to get their stuff in order, for them to get their stuff straight, right? Just like when we go through Juali's stuff and he's talking about all faithful Moors. He's not talking to the dirty ones, the all loyal Moors. I mean, he's not talking to the dirty ones. He's not talking to the traitors. He's not talking to, the ones who, like when he's all governors, grand governors, or whatever like that. He was talking to them. He told them in the writings, talking to you, grand whoever, lace up your shoes or whatever the case is, right? So when we look at these books relative to our position, right? It's info, so nothing's wrong with reading it. Reading it isn't an issue, right? Researching, using it as a reference point, whatever, it's not an issue, right? And again, like Noble Juali said, he made reference to Koran, he made reference to Muhammad, and if Muhammad is a prophet of Allah and there's a book relative to him, it should be something looked through by Moors, just like we look through anything else, because it's info, right? We already know that it's about mastering, it's about being what we're supposed to be, right? We're supposed to be being it. If we're not being it, then we're obviously not it. We're off if we're not being it. And it's obvious that many people are off if prophets had to get sent and keep getting sent. Like, why are they sent? People not getting the message? Why is there all these prophets that we gotta to be looking for or whatever? Right. Right. Muhammad even being Sufi, and then they're gonna recognize Sufism, but they're not gonna go there. They're sticking in the right. Yeah. No, go ahead.
The Quran says that Allah sends a messenger who speaks languages the nation, right? So of the people that the messenger is going to be addressing. So if that's the case, why don't have to target this?
No.
Mm-hmm.
It's Balawari here or something like that. It's understanding. I mean, they're
Red Book, chapter 9. Red Book, chapter 9. Opening address of Yehoshua with the 7 sages, 7 days in silence. Ashbina said, Assyria is the land of doubt. The chariot of my people, that in which they mostly ride, is labeled doubt. Once Faith walked in Babylon, and she was bright and fair, but she was clothed in such white robes that men became afraid of her. And every wheel began to turn, and doubt made war on her and drove her from the land, and she came back no more. In form, man worships Allah, the One. In heart, they are not sure that Allah exists. Faith worships at the temple of one not seen, but doubt must see her God. The greatest need of all Assyria is faith, a faith that seasons everything that is with certainty. And then Apollo said, the greatest needs of Greece are true conceptions of Allah the One. In Greece, it is rudderless, for every thought may be a god to worship as Allah. The plane of thought is broad and full of sharp antagonists, and so the circle of the gods is filled with enmity, with wars and base intrigues. Greece needs a mastermind to stand above the gods, to raise the mind of men away from many gods, to Allah the One. We know the light is coming over the hills. Allah, speed the light. Mathino said, behold, this land of Egypt of the dead. Our temples have long been the tombs of hidden things of time. Our temple crypts and caverns are dark, and caves are dark. In light, there is no secret things. The sun reveals all hidden truth. There is no mysteries in Allah. Behold, the rising sun. His beams are entering every door. Yes, every crevice of the mystic crypts of Mizraim. We hail the light. All Egypt craves the light. And Philo said, the need of Hebrew thought and life is liberty. The Hebrew prophets, seers, and givers of the law were men of power, men of holy thought, and they bequeathed to us a system of love that was ideal, one strong enough to lead our people to the goal of perfectness. But carnal minds repudiated this law of love and filled the minds with selfishness, and purity in heart became a myth. The people were enslaved, but when he comes who is to come, he will proclaim emancipation for the slaves. My people will be free. Behold, for Allah has made incarnate wisdom, love, and light, which he called Emmanuel. To him is given the key to open up the dawn. And here as man, he walked with us. And when the council chamber door opened and the Logos stood among the sages of the world, again, the sages sat in silence 7 days. Islam. Any thoughts on that?
It's a Syria needed faith, right?
Yeah.
They don't want belief.
Yeah. Assyria, the land of doubt. Once faith walked in Babylon, and she was bright and fair, but she was clothed in such white robes that men became afraid of her. And every wheel began to turn, and doubt made war on her and drove her from the land, and she came back no more. And that's how they fell. That's how they fell into the belief.
Right.
That faith was humanity was progressing to a stage where they got to faith, and then doubt came. But doubt had to only come because of the people not trusting in faith, not recognizing that, like the Koran was saying, they know what it is. They know what the truth is. Because remember, this is the red book. So this is the continuation of the Quran, right? This is part of the whole the mythos of the being going from just the base being to Allah and man, going from belief to fruition. By the time we go through 101 questionnaire, Quran, you get to divine constitution and bylaws and all of that, you should already be Allah and man. And then now you're going to go take your place amongst the affairs of men as the new being, or the returned ancient that everybody is expecting us to be, but we want to keep being Negro, black, colored, and whatever else. Like what Omar was dealing with on that thing, that the importance of what it is that we're doing, for us to not look at what we're doing because we don't see a Moorish hospital, that means we're not doing anything, or that it's useless what we're doing, right? because there's gonna be those individuals who aren't gonna get it. There's gonna be collateral damage. That's just what it is, right? When Avengers roll to a spot and they're freaking crushing buildings and stuff like that, you think people are dying in those buildings or whatever? That's collateral damage. It's expected that's gonna happen if Superman flies through a building. People are gonna die because the building's gonna crumble. I'm sure people are in there working or whatever, right? So, being that there's gonna be collateral damage, after the dust settles and clean up the whatever, now what is it gonna be? Is it gonna be based on going back to that same stuff again that had the thing happen, or is it gonna be about moving forward in a different direction or in a new light with higher thought processing, higher connection to the divine, so that some things could get done? I keep going back to this thing with Juali saying you do stuff from the soul plane. You do greater work from the soul plane, so he's going there, right? So here, this realm isn't where it's at. You know what I mean? If everybody's gonna say, oh yeah, somebody transition, and then, oh yeah, we gotta do the ministry of death too. Somebody transitioned and they went to a better place and all that stuff. So then what, obviously this isn't it. Yeah, even if we go back to the thing, this is obviously belief where we're at. Right? Fruition is, 2 levels up from this. You have to get through 3rd dimension first before you get to 4th, 5th, 6th, and all that. You have to get through this, and the what do you call it? The Groundhog Day, the repetitive thing that is going on here is not something new. You know what I mean? Like majority of Moors you talk to, they already know they've been here before. There's not some new stuff. This is not first time on the earth plane. Right. You know what I mean? There's no way. But getting to the place of knowing that we have to be what we're claiming. Like we have to be it. And us being it is going to inspire those who want to be inspired, those who want to know. But we already know. And because we already know, and there aren't enough people that want to know, is why there kind of there's this flat line as far as like activity. Well, what are we going to do as Moors? Well, what are we going to do? It's based on what the people want, and they're going to get whatever they want. If they don't want anything, then you can't ask for anything.
Brother Prophets, save yourself.
Right? The important part, because if you're not saved, then nothing's going to get done. So you better save yourself so we can get some stuff done. You're not saving yourself to go lie on the beach or whatever like that. You're saving yourself so we can get some stuff done.
Yeah, but I think what the issue is that we haven't been able to overcome the saving of ourselves to be able to create the next paradigm, right?
Yeah.
I think that's where we're stuck at.
Yeah.
They definitely put enough obstacles in our way that the very nature of being able to be philanthropic and to say, okay, I'm going to take 6 months out, I'm going to go now and feed the poor. We don't have that. Most of us can't afford to miss a check for more than 2 weeks, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Or miss a whatever, wherever we're getting the finance from.
Whatever it is.
You ain't getting 2 weeks off.
The problem is all that comes from us putting something bigger than ourselves in front of ourselves, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, unfortunately, the fact that each one of us has our own little universe in our hand, and this little cell phone is what is continuing to propagate the lack of connectiveness that we're missing. As you see, I mean, every other nation, even the anti-vaxxers can get together to come together on what you call on a common goal.
Mhm.
You call to the morgue to come and clean the neighborhood, and you got 6 people out there, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how but I do know that there's help from above, so I think we've got to continue to connect with those broken wires, right?
Yeah. Doing our best to to carry on the legacy, that Drew Ali did. Alaikum salam.
How are you?
How are you, brother? Assalamu
Peace, brother.
You are out all the time. I see both of you, mashallah. You don't see go extra now, mashallah. There are good spirits.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah. Brother Koji, I don't know your name. What is your good name? Rani. Huh?
Brother Rani Bey.
R-U-N-N-Y. Iron. And your good name?
Desire. Desire to be that.
Azahir. A-Z-I-R-E.
Z-A-H-I-R, right?
Z-A-H-I-R. Zahir. Who is that Muslim? Because we have same name in our country. So many people have Zahir. Zahir.
Well, we are really one people, right?
Yeah, so many people are there. Okay, you can continue. Sorry, I didn't.
Oh, no problem, bro. No problem.
What's your name again?
Mera Ansar. Yeah. You have Quran, mashallah.
Yeah, we said we were reading. We were late. You were late though today.
Really?
Yeah.
But
Because we start.
cannot read, you don't
Because
know
we
Arabic.
start. No, it's English.
No, it is Arabic.
Yeah, no, the coverage is Arabic, but it's English. Yeah, it's translation.
What is the translation?
Yeah, it's
Was
translation.
that what you meant by the Quran, Kujo?
Hmm?
You said you brought the Quran. That's what you
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant.
Yeah.
I have a lot of Quran. If you want, I can give you.
Yeah.
Mashallah, that's good job.
That's a good job.
Mashallah, yeah, I'm happy to see that. This is what we are supposed to do, that read from Quran. These are the words of Allah Ta'ala.
What we were reading earlier, it was saying something about, where there's going to be different messengers and different books. So it's not just the Quran that we're supposed to be reading.
Yeah, other books
Not
also.
blasphemer.
Whatever came from Allah, whatever came sent down from Allah, we should read.
Yeah.
Like Torah was from Allah, Bible was from Allah, Quran was from Allah. 3 books I know that.
Yeah.
So, but after the Quran, Allah Ta'ala inside Quran, this is the seed. Okay, you can continue. Sorry to disturb you.
Oh, it's all right. So we're at chapter 9. Please more. So the whole concept of us being the fruition, us being the truth, right? The idea that there's levels. If Drew Ali's saying do the work from the soul plane, right? And we know, like with his transitioning, that it was left to us to carry on what had to be carried on, right? But knowing that he's at the place of fruition, him and Allah are one now, especially that he's not in the physical, right? That's the striving for, being the mastermind as well, not just seeing these individuals as their personage, but knowing that we are embodiments of the lessons, especially knowing that we're out of the belief part and we're into fruition where we are being what we know. We're not being, we're not practicing anymore. It's a real game now, The plane of thought is broad and full of sharp antagonists, and so the circle of the gods is filled with enmity, with wars, and base intrigues. Greece needs a mastermind to stand above the gods, to raise the mind of men away from many gods to allow the one. And so again, this is the same pattern with all the prophets. The prophets being presented, they have a message from the one telling people, let go of all the idol gods. You don't need them. There's only one. There's no other than the one. There's no other than the all. Right? We know the light is coming over the hills. Allah speed the light. Methino said, behold, this land of Egypt of the dead. Our temples long have been tombs of hidden things of time. Our temple crypts and caves are dark. Right? That's all the different schools of thought that, people thought that's where the knowledge was. That's where you're going to go get whatever, when that was just tombs of hidden things of time. And when we're looking at time, and then we know that it is illusion, and we know that it's a cyclical thing, we know that everything has its time. Like we say with when you lose something, it's because you don't need it anymore. It served its purpose. You find it again, then obviously you're still meant to have it, because you found it again. But if it's lost, and then you're dwelling on, oh my gosh, I lost the whatever it is, I gotta find the whatever, and you're putting all this energy to something that is not supposed to be there anymore.
Crystal, I lost his crystal.
Yeah.
His jade.
Happens most with that.
And I'm like, no, for like a month.
Yeah, it happens most with that. It's crazy.
Tearing up and down the house.
Crazy.
Trying to look for this thing.
Yeah.
Backtracking.
Yeah.
Literally.
And then there's those situations where, you have a month that you're looking, and then 2 months later you find it in a shoe or somewhere that there's no way this was put here by me. You know what I mean? This was higher than what I'm looking at it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Find it again, especially if it was gone and it was gone for a while, But it also shows the level of even with individuals, you know what I mean? People come into their life, losing people, death, things like that, and certain things aren't coming back, and having to deal with it. That this is where it's at, but all that is understood once we get to fruition. Once we get out of the belief doesn't apply when it's us, right? We're not dealing with the belief level. Peace, bro. Right? We're not dealing with the belief. We're dealing with we are the truth. The truth is resonating through us, right? Because the belief has been going on for so long, which is why there's so much, people getting taken advantage of. Even looking at the stuff going on right now with mandates and whatever the case is, you know what I mean? People not having the right to choose. You don't have option. You're paying $1.80 gas. That's it. And then when it goes up tomorrow, you're gonna pay that. And then when the food goes up over there, you're gonna pay that. And when the insurance goes up, you're gonna pay that. And when the whatever goes up, you're gonna pay that. Because the people have got into absorbed the idea of belief, and that it's what they think they know is what's going on. They think they know what's going on, so they're going to go out there and march or whatever. But then when martial law comes on and they put them in a concentration camp for being out there, then they're complaining. When you should already know what's up. You should already be in tune to have the vision to know this is where I'm supposed to be at. This is where I'm going to avoid. This is the tightrope that I'm going to walk. This is where, because if only when you're in tune with the all, only when you're in tune with the one, would you be able to make these correct decisions. How many people have the same BS happening to them over and over again? And then no matter who tells them whatever, they still never change up. And they keep going the same stuff over and over again because they're wrapped in this place of belief where there's always an end to something. There's not a continuous process. When we look at what we're doing, it's evolution. When we said we went from black to whatever, African, whatever, to metaphysics, whatever, now we get to this stage that we're Moors, and then we just realized that we just started. All that stuff we were doing back then didn't even matter because all of it was useless. It's where we are now and where we're going with what we have now, with the mindset that we have now, right? Being, knowing the light and then being the light. Somebody who's seeing the light and then the one who's being the light is why that individual could see it. We have to be the ones who are constantly the light so that others could be inspired to have light as well. Right? In light, there is no secret things. The sun reveals all hidden truth. There are no mysteries in Allah. There are no mysteries when you're dealing with the one, when you're dealing with the all. There's no guessing. There's no, presumption. There's no assumption. There's only truth. That's it. Truth, and that's it. Anything else, anything that's against the truth is not one with Allah and should be disregarded, right? If it's not in tune with Allah, and again, with the Moors that we say, when we look at Allah, we also look at Allah. And Allah is the universal motion that is constantly in activity, never stagnant, always moving, always involved in everything. That's Allah. There's nothing that it's not involved in. Has a place in every single thing that's existent. Behold the rising sun. His beams are entering every door. Yes, every crevice of the mystic crypts of Mizraim. We hail the light. All Egypt craves the light. And Philo said, the need of Hebrew thought and life is liberty. The Hebrew prophets, seers and givers of the law were men of power, men of holy thought, and they bequeathed to us a system of love that was ideal, one strong enough to lead our people to the goal of perfectedness. But carnal minds repudiated this law of love and filled the minds with selfishness, and purity in heart became a myth. The people were enslaved. And so because of the carnal mind is why you got enslaved. Because of not adhering to the principles. And again, when we say enslaved, we're not just talking about some chain or whatever. Enslaved mentally, enslaved spiritually, enslaved emotionally. There's people enslaved emotionally to people that no matter what, they're gonna take strangle and the punch in the face every day because they claim that that's love. Right? They're a believer. They never experienced love to know what it is. So they think somebody strangling them is love. Somebody slapping them or whatever like that is love. And they're taking the position of they're staying in that. because of, oh yeah, this is what love is, so I'm going to stay in this, right? That's mental slavery. That's mental enslavement. You know, that's carnal minds repudiating love. Because if love is all, and then Drew Ali told us that love is our first principle, and then we need to learn to love instead of hate and all that, then we should be in the best position. If we're vibrating on all this love, you know. But then when you check that, it's not us, because again, if we're saying that we're a nation, then that means the whole. That doesn't mean a portion of. That doesn't mean little fragments over here, little fragments over there, right? All of our people are supposed to be tied to this nationality. All of them are supposed to be tied to it. Until they do, we have this fragmented thing. Until they get down with the program, which is what our position is, doing our best to get them, which, you know, it appears that they don't want it. So we're going to have to do what we have to do for ourselves in order to get what it is that we want. It's not going to happen with, like we say, it's not going to be the masses doing it. It's going to be 6 people who want to get this stuff done. It's going to get done just because of their energy and their commitment and their drive into wanting to see what it is that they want to manifest. Right? Now we're just going through the 2 books that we have. One called Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood of the East, and the Koran that the brothers gave you, our Koran. Is there any verses in the Quran that you think we should look into?
Yeah, actually, I brought some verses from this Quran. Last
Yeah.
time, Brother Anwar was asking that for us, when we start with Allah, because we came here just to discuss whatever our similarities.
Yeah.
So for us in Hadith, it is said that once you start discussing Allah, there are some angels, their duties, they are just round in the world. Whenever they see that some people are discussing with Allah, they start collecting. Okay, we found the gathering. They call each other when you start. And they start stacking up till up to the arsh, which are like the chair, you say, we call is arsh. Because in the Quran it is said arsh. Up to there. Allah asked them what happened. He knows it. He asked them what happened. He said that some people are discussing about you or mentioning you or remembering you. So Allah Ta'ala means He's proud of He shows proud on the angels that these people are so like good, or so I'm blessed. I bless them and I forgive them. Like He said to them there. So this is in Hadith. So instead of discussing some other things, we can go with like Allah. So I found some of the verses, like I can show you.
Yeah, just tell me which surah number Omar is coming through right there.
It is Surah 2 and Ayah 255. Yeah. 2 and 255.
Um, 255, Surah 255.
Yes. So this is what is Allah. First of all, we need to see that what is Allah and what He can do. If you can read from here that what is Allah.
Okay.
So He says that Allah.
255, Allah. None has the right to be worshipped but He.
Yeah.
Al-Halul Qayyum.
Al-Hayyul Qayyum, yeah.
The ever living, the one who sustains and protects all that exists. neither slumber nor sleep overtakes him. To him belongs whatever it is in the heavens and whatever it is on earth. Who is he that can intercede with him except with his permission? He knows what happens to them, his creatures in the world, and what will happen to them in the hereafter. And they will never compass anything of his knowledge except that which he wills. His mercy extends over the heavens and the earth, and he feels no fatigue in guarding and preserving them. And he is the Most High, the Most Great. This verse 255 is called Ayat al-Kursi.
Yeah. So you can continue reading. Now
Okay.
this is what he describes himself, that what kind of Allah. This is the same thing you just read from this book.
Right.
That, he is holding everything and he never. This is the same thing that you mentioned.
Right.
So just keep reading it, because there are now two very interesting things that we mentioned. He will mention two stories that what he can do. Now, if you will go ahead, you will see that what he can do, what kind of work he does.
Mm-hmm. Just pull up, if you have, just look through that. Just pull up divine warning to the nations, and darkness to light part. It should be in the middle somewhere. There is no compulsion in religion. Verily, the right path has become distinct from the wrong path. Whoever disbelieves in Taghut and believes in Allah, then he has grasped the most trustworthy handhold that will never break. And Allah is all hearer, all knower. Allah is the Wali, protector or guardian of those who believe. He brings them out of darkness into light. But as for those who disbelieve, their ulia, supporters and helpers, are Taghut, false deities and false leaders. They bring them out from light into darkness. Those are the dwellers of the fire, and they will abide therein forever. Have you not looked at him who disputed with the Abraham about his Lord Allah? Because Allah had given him the kingdom. When Ibrahim said, "My Lord, this is who gives life and causes death," he said, "I give life and cause death." Ibrahim said, "Verily, Allah brings the sun from the east, then brings it to you from the west." So the disbeliever was utterly defeated, and Allah guides not the people who are zalimun, wrongdoers. Or like the one who has passed by the town while it had tumbled over its
This
roofs.
is a very nice story.
He
This
said,
is a very interesting story.
yeah.
This is the story that I want you to read.
Or like the one who passed by a town while it had tumbled over its roofs. He said, "Oh, how will Allah ever bring it to life after its death?" So Allah caused him to die for 100 years, then raised him up again and said, "How long did you remain dead?" He said, "Perhaps I remained dead a day or part of a day." He said, "Nay, you have remained dead for 100 years. Look at your food and your drink. They show no change. And look at your donkey. And thus we have made of you a sign for the people. Look at the bones, how we bring them together and clothe them with flesh." When this was clearly shown to him, he said, "I know now that Allah is able to do all things." And remember, when Ibrahim said, "My Lord, show me how you give life to the dead."
Second very nice story that Allah said to him, "Okay, bring 4 birds and raise them, and give them some names." Like he raised 4 birds, and after that Allah said to him, "Okay, now do like you can read it."
Right.
What happened after that?
"My Lord, show me how you give life to the dead." He, Allah, said, "Do you not believe?" He, Ibrahim, said, "Yes, but to be stronger in faith." He said, "Take 4 birds, then cause them to incline toward you. Then slaughter them, cut them into pieces, and put a portion of them on every hill and call them. They will come to you in haste, and know that Allah is Almighty, All-Wise. The likeness of those who spend their wealth in the way of Allah is as the likeness of a grain of corn. It grows 7 ears, and each ear has 100 grains. Allah gives manifold increase to whom He wills, and Allah is all sufficient for His creatures, needs all knower.
Yeah, so this is what Allah can do. Last time Brother Anwar was asking me that how he can change the skin, or what will happen once we will die. It is just
Yeah, no, I'll find it.
I got the divine warning.
Is it that one? I think it's the other one. Oh yes, this one. Yeah, go ahead.
What were you finishing? What was the end of what you were saying?
no, actually he started from that book. I just want to listen what he said.
Okay.
Because there are also some other incidents that Allah Ta'ala mentioned, but His power.
Yeah.
So we need to know that what He can do, because for this one maybe it is not describing complete thing about Allah.
Yeah.
That what work He can do or what are His powers. Like
Yeah.
when I see this, like the other last week I came, Brother Anwar was saying that something that like Allah Ta'ala, they don't know exactly what are the powers of Allah. So we need to know that these things, like these two stories, what he mentioned, Allah Ta'ala, he shows His powers. And also in Quran there are some other very nice stories that He can bring into depth, or He can, if we are died, He can collect, like He's saying that, okay, this is the food, this is your food, 100 years, this is still, food did not you can say that nut got rotten, or what happened to the donkey? The donkey was all bones gone. When he saw, because he was passing through a city, he just thought the same thought, that how Allah will bring this thing back into life. How is it possible? All gone, nothing. So what did Allah did to him? Allah just gave him the death. Okay. He died for 100 years. After 100 years, Allah Ta'ala gave him the life. Okay. He woke up, he saw his food. Maybe he did not see his donkey. He said that when Allah Ta'ala put up any idea or something in his mind, that what happened, how long did you sleep? Maybe he saw the sun, he said maybe half of the day, or maybe one day.
So no, it's 100 years.
He said, no, see your donkey.
You did allow just about the perspective of be aware of what's around you. You're only thinking of your food. Donkey's there, it's been dead.
And then after that he said some words that, and the same thing happened to Prophet Ibrahim. Prophet Ibrahim is a big figure. He said to Allah that how come once people are dead, how you are going to give them the life? Allah said, don't you believe? He said, no, I believe, but for just to give, to have a satisfaction of my heart. Allah Ta'ala said, okay, you take 4 birds, small birds, raise them for 5 months, 6 months, give them the names. Once they are grown up and they started flying, then Allah Ta'ala asked him, okay, now slaughter them. Mix their fleshes and bones. Go on to 4 mountains, different mountains. Put the flesh 1, 2, 3, 4.
And then call them.
Mountains. Now call them with the name you gave. And what happened? From one flesh, from one bone, from one piece from one mountain, one piece. They collected, made the bird, and came to him flying.
Why did he kill it? Why did he kill the bird?
Brother Koji can explain.
To show,
how he can
to show the power of Allah. Because
why are you testing the power of Allah?
Well,
he said that he could not, our imagination is very little. We think that this life is just nothing. Allah Ta'ala said that the same question he put on Allah, that how you will give once it is dead, how you will give them the life. Allah Ta'ala said, don't you believe? He said, verily, I believe. But for the satisfaction of my heart, for the satisfaction of his heart, Allah Ta'ala said, okay, take 4 birds, small birds, raise them, give them the meat. Now slaughter them. He slaughtered with his own hands. Okay, mix the meat, put on 4 different mountains.
There was one in the Quran about
some believers needing to see, there's some who need to see the manifestation of Allah.
yeah.
That's how I got from it too. So.
So what is in that? How?
Yeah, when the red book, this that one of the 7 majors he brought up there, was speaking on that, similar to that one.
Similar.
Like how Abraham needs to see the manifestation.
Oh, it is also in the.
Just for satisfaction of his heart, right? I need to see something. Just to show me something.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how Moses did he saw the burning bush. He's like, oh, okay, all right, just out of nowhere.
Yeah, and also in the Moses, like when the Pharaoh, Pharaoh, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was chasing them to kill them. They were very small people, like maybe 1,000, 2,000, and they have 100,000 of the army was chasing them. Once they went in front of the sea, the nation of Moses, they said, we are died now. And what did Moses said? Like in the Quran, it is said never means there is a word like in Arabic means kalla means like he did not believe. The Prophet Moses, he did not believe that. See, the Qawm said that these are 100,000, we are only 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He said kalla means no, I don't believe that. Allah is with me. Then Allah Ta'ala said to him, okay, strike your what was it?
Staff, yeah.
Yeah, the stick on the sea.
Yeah.
When he struck, it is in the Quran that there are very big passages. Yeah. And they give them 10 passages created in the sea, and they easily they pass through all the passages. And once the Pharaoh who was for chasing them, once they came, Allah Ta'ala asked the sea to come to its original position, and they are drowned.
Right.
And Allah Ta'ala said in Quran, it is written that we will make your dead body like a sign for the other people. And his dead body was raised from the sea. There are 100 billions of people who had died. There is no dead body in the sea ever. You cannot find anyone's dead body that is still alive, like you can see it. But Allah Ta'ala put in the Quran, and his dead body was kept in a museum in Egypt. And maybe you will not believe, or you can read. There was a Canadian scientist who was just examining his dead body. He was examining. He found that there are the signs of salty water in his dead body. He was very surprised at how it happened. So he asked from those people that how it happened. I can show you his name. You can. I can even Google it now.
Yeah.
The people said that this is the Pharaoh that Allah Ta'ala drowned in the sea, and Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran that this dead body will be for an example of all the human beings. And after listening, he became a Muslim.
Yeah.
I can show you this in one moment. I don't remember, but this is a real thing that what happened after he accepted Islam, that this is the truth. What was his name?
Yeah, I was gonna just read relative to what you were saying about the imagination of the people being so small.
Yeah.
Right. And not knowing the full power of Allah.
Yeah.
The creation and fall of man. Time never was when man was not. If life of man at any time began, a time would come when it would not. The thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed. No finite mind can comprehend things infinite. All finite things are subject unto change. All finite things will cease to be, because there was a time when they were not. The bodies and the souls of men are finite things, and they will change. Yea, from the finite point of view, The time will come when they will be no more. But man himself is not the body nor the soul. He is a spirit and a part of Allah. Creative fate gave to man the spirit man, a soul, that he might function on the plane of soul, gave him a body of flesh, that he might function on the plane of things made manifest. Why did creative fate give to spirit man a soul, that he might function on the plane of soul? Why did creative fate give to soul a body of flesh, that he might function on the plane of things made manifest? Right?
Yeah, so,
So-
this is also like man body and soul. It is saying soul, but for us, like we say that soul is infinite. It cannot be finished.
Mhm.
It cannot be finished
Mhm.
because soul is from Allah. Once He created the man, He put from His mouth. He blew something in the body of Adam. You know Adam. So soul is from Allah. Soul cannot. It is infinite thing, but it is saying that soul is also finite thing.
Yes.
Well, that's the thing that Allah breathed into him.
Yeah,
Spirit.
Yes, spirit.
Yeah.
So we call maybe spirit or soul. I think we have like, but the book is saying
Yeah,
that,
yeah. That soul, that
body
flesh,
is like infinite.
Yeah,
That it can
right,
be
finite
some-
thing.
Yeah, finite
soul,
thing.
finite thing. But
Some
spirit,
finite thing, yeah,
spirit
Yeah.
is what, relative to what you're talking about, would be soul,
Oh, yeah, maybe.
right? So with the different religions and the different languages, certain words, but it might be different word, but have relative meaning,
Yeah.
right?
maybe. Mhm.
So in the context of what you're talking about, the infinite thing that Allah breathed into man,
Yeah.
we look at that as spirit,
Yeah. We look
the
at that.
holy breath,
Yeah.
right? That was breathed in to man,
Yeah.
and then
into
so,
the-
and soul is part of the makeup of man,
Oh,
but man is actually spirit.
yeah.
Man is not the flesh,
Man is not, yeah, because body is finite thing.
Right.
But in like the spirit or the soul, it is infinite. It cannot
Right.
be finished.
Yeah.
It will become again in the same. It is body has nothing like you cannot say that body is infinite thing.
Mhm.
Body cannot be finite, but spirit cannot be finite. It can never die.
right?
It will remain infinite time, like because it is from Allah. So this is like in Quran also that once He gave and all the souls. Body has no meaning. Like after the death, body has no meaning. I don't know what will be the status of the human once we go there.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe we will not have even the same body.
yeah. But I mean, until you go, those are the wonders of Allah.
Yeah.
The things to look forward to. Knowing that this is not it. There's something greater. There's
Yeah.
something after this finite thing goes away. We're gonna be experiencing something different. Maybe not have no body. Maybe be light. Maybe who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe something different. We have no idea. He can create. He created so many systems, like under the sea, in the jungle,
Yeah,
under the ground, in
Yeah.
the like over the sky. He has created so many things that is beyond our imagination. Like he gave something powers to the lion, some kind of power to the elephant, and so many fishes are there. He created and he is feeding them. So he can create any type of body.
Yeah.
Body has just no meaning. So, but spirit or soul, it is like infinite thing.
Islam. We're gonna read our chapter 4, Ministry of Death, because we know the frequency has been out there. Few people had transitions in the past month. So just to put the energy out there of the Ministry of Death to bring some deeper understanding as far as what it is, but for the ethers. Death and burial of Elizabeth, Matheno's lessons, the ministry of death. When John was 12 years old, his mother died, and neighbors laid her body in the tomb among her kindred in the Hebron burying ground and near Zachariah's tomb. And John was deeply grieved. He wept. Matheno said, "It is not well to weep because of death. Death is no enemy of man. It is a friend who, when the work of life is done, just cuts the cord that binds the human boat to earth, that it may sail on smoother seas. No language can describe a mother's worth, and yours was tried and true. But she was not called hence until her tasks were done. The calls of death are always for the best, for we are solving problems there as well as here. And one is sure to find themselves where he can solve his problems best. It is selfishness to make one to wish to call again to earth departed souls. Then let your mother rest in peace. Let her noble life be strengthened and inspiration unto you. A crisis in your life has come, and you must have a clear conception of the work that you are called to do. The sages of the ages call you harbinger. The prophets look to you and say, he is Elijah come again. Your mission here is that of a harbinger, for you will go before the Messiah's face and pave the way, and make the people ready to receive their king. This readiness is purity of heart. None but the pure in heart can recognize the king. To teach men to be pure in heart, you must yourself be pure in heart and work and deed. In infancy, the vow for you is made, and you become a Nazarite. The razor shall not touch your face nor head, and you shall not taste wine or fiery drinks. Men need a pattern for their lives. They love to follow, not to lead. The man who stands upon the corners of the path and points the way, but does not go, is just a pointer, and a block of wood can do the same. The teacher treads the way. On every span of ground he leaves his footprints clearly cut, which all can see and be assured that he, their master, went that way. Men comprehend the inner life by what they see and do. They come to Allah through ceremonies and forms. And so, when they would make men know that sins are washed away by purity in life, a rite symbolic may be introduced. In water, wash the bodies of the people who turn away from the sin and strive for purity in life. This rite of cleansing is a preparation rite, and they who thus are cleansed comprise the temple of purity. And you shall say, you men of Israel, hear, reform and wash, become the sons of purity, and you shall be forgiven. This rite of cleansing and this temple are but symbolic of the soul, which does not come with outward show, but is the temple within. Now you may never point the way and tell the multitudes to do what you have never done, but you must go before and show the way. You are to teach that men must wash. So you must lead the way. Your body must be washed, symbolic of the cleansing of the soul. John said, why need I wait? May I not go at once and wash? Matheno said, 'tis well. And they went down to the Jordan. Matino. Yeah. Tell 'tis well, and they went down to the Jordan ford and east of Jericho, just where the host of Israel crossed when first they entered Canaan. They tarried for a time. Matheno taught the harbinger, and he explained to him the inner meaning of the cleansing rite, and how to wash himself, and how to wash the multitude. And in the river Jordan, John was washed. Then they returned unto the wilderness. Now in Engdi's hills, Matheno work was done, and he and John went down to Egypt. They rested until they reached the temple of Saqqara in the valley of the Nile. For many years, Matheno was a master in the temple of the Brotherhood. And when he taught about the life of John and his mission to the sons of men, the Hierophant with joy received the harbinger, and he was called the brother Nazarite. For 18 years, John lived and wrought within these temple gates. And here he conquered self, became a mastermind, and learned the duties of the harbinger. Islam. So as you can see, the relationship of the different teachings with the Quran, and the fact that we all have the same direction. You know, our customs, our practices might be different, but the direction that we're going to is toward Allah. It's to the same place. You know, yeah.
Yes. But in Quran, like Allah Ta'ala has given very much importance to the prayer, like for Salah.
Mm-hmm.
He says that you must be 5 times praying the Salah. You know, maybe you cannot find these verses any other book except Quran. Let me tell you that Allah's prophet Moses, he was traveling with his wife from one place to another place. It was dark, it was cold, and he saw there was a light on the top of a mountain. He said to his wife, "Okay, you stop here and I go to that mountain. Let me see that maybe I can find some warmth or some uh, energy or some food for you." So he went there to the fire. Now, can you read Surah number 20, ayat 14? You will not find these kind of thing in any other book. What happened to that? What happened to that mountain? Surah 20, ayat 14.
Surah 20:14.
20, ayat 14.
Yeah. Verily, I am Allah.
You can read from also Surah 12 or maybe 11, 12. What happened?
11.
Okay.
And when he came to it, the fire, he was called by name, O Musa, verily I am your Lord. So take off your shoes, you are in the sacred valley, and I have chosen you. So listen to that which will be revealed to you. Verily I am Allah.
See, you cannot find these things from any other book.
Mm.
He is saying that I am Allah. I am Allah. I mean, it is something you will not find that this type of thing. Okay, what he says next.
So worship me and perform as salat.
See, this is the salat
for my remembrance.
Yes.
Verily, the hour is coming, and I am almost hiding it from myself, that every person may be rewarded for that which he strives. But so now, even with that part, every person is going to be rewarded for that which they strive for.
Yeah, but it not for the good people who prayed. Prayer is very important. Once he said, I am Allah. And after that, he gives right away the next part, you have to do the prayer. And this prayer is in the masjid. You can read again if you want. You can read that after he said, I am Allah.
But there's a difference between praying and affirmation. There's affirming and there's praying.
Yeah.
Right? Verily,
yeah.
I am Allah. None has the right to be worshipped but I.
Yeah.
So worship me and perform as-salat for my remembrance.
Yes. So this salah, what he mentions is salah is truly performed in the masjid.
That's based on the believers, right? That's based on the believers.
If you believe on Allah.
If you believe in Allah, then
yeah.
Right.
And this is not from anyone. No one can say that I am Allah except him.
Right.
He's saying that I am Allah. And after that, only worship me, no other person, or nothing, no other deity. And after that, what order he gives and perform prayer.
But you do realize, have you read the Circle 7 yet? Have you started reading it? The Circle 7, our Quran.
Okay.
Have you started reading it?
Yeah. No, I just came, you didn't give me the copy, you just gave me the black history the brother gave me.
I didn't give you a copy?
No.
I thought I gave you a copy. Where did you get a copy?
We'll go one from the back.
You gotta get different perspectives, right? I mean,
Not not us.
because you mentioned that it won't be found in any other book.
But in that same story you mentioned, it's also mentioned in the Bible.
I cannot read all in one like day or maybe if it
No. Take your time. No rush.
Yeah. But these type of things, because this Quran is from Allah. He said, I am sending this book. I am the guardian. And once he sent this book, there is no change. One single word in Arabic wasn't changed since start. Even pronunciation. There are some rules like to pronounce Arabic Quran. The moment you like little bit I avoid the rule, the person who knows he can catch you at that time. You are not pronouncing correctly. Arabic is very, very delicate language. Very easy. Allah Ta'ala said in Quran, we made the Quran to be like for human to understand and read very easily. Not over one time, 15 times or 16 times in a surah. Allah said 15 times that Quran was made so easy for the human.
If you read the Circle 7, you'd be more surprised.
So what is in Circle 7? You can tell me. You have read whatever I have read. I discuss with you. You can tell me.
No, I'm saying the simplicity of it. It's so simple. Once you start reading it, it's so simple. But you gotta read it.
Yeah.
Because we have a lesson. Man knows not by being told. Man knows by studying. But I get it too.
7 came. Is it from Allah? Allah said that
Of course it's from Allah. Allah created everything. Like you said, the elephants to have the food and meat and everything, right? He's the one that made it happen.
No.
There's no strange happenings. Can you agree with me?
Circle 7, you said Circle 7. So is Circle 7 was sent from Allah? Allah said, I am sending it to you.
Allah is the creator of everything.
Well,
He is the creator of idols. So what does it mean? I should go and worship the idols? No.
So in this case, what it was that he sent a prophet,
Yeah.
Prophet Noble Ali, who then basically as a messenger passed on the new set of, or not the new, but the old time or a different set of messages, which are still the same messages. The same ones coming through the Bible, or the same ones coming through the Quran, or the same ones coming through the Torah. They're all the same messages. It's just in the language that is best suited for you or for your people. So, that's what I was thinking is funny. When you said, okay, in the book, it says this came from Allah. But you won't know that there are other books where it says, you won't know that there will be other books that said, this is Allah and this is the message I'm giving you. You won't know that until you open up those other books. Because as you know, Allah is everywhere. And nothing exists without Allah. Even the badness is part of Allah. So,
He created evil and he created good stuff. He created bad stuff.
He created everything.
Yeah, he created everything. Okay.
So ultimately, from my perspective, this is why my position is that he has to have this process here, where, as you see, we're off the path because we're not doing salat and the rest of these things, right?
This is not from me. This is from Allah.
So you
Once he
say,
said,
but hear me out. If Allah really didn't want that, then He would destroy us in a minute.
no, if the people are worshipping idol, he's not destroying.
No, what about the people? What about
on the day of judgment? On the day of judgment, if you are not on the right path and you say that okay, now as a compensation we give our it says in the Allah side in Quran, they will say okay, I want to give my home, my wife, my children, okay, whatever I am, okay, my whole family, I don't want to go into this hellfire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, whatever contains in if I possess the whole world, he would like to give the whole world.
But that's what we were talking about with last week, right? That when you're looking at what we're doing here isn't belief.
Yeah.
What we're doing here is we are the truth. So when we look at Noble Drew Ali, and we say Prophet Noble Drew Ali. How you look at Muhammad, that's how we look at Noble Drew Ali. He brought us literature. He brought us our book, just like Muhammad brought your book. But we know that Allah sent Noble Drew Ali, just like Allah sent Prophet Muhammad.
But Allah said in Quran that after Prophet Muhammad, I am not going to send any prophet. And
No, but did Allah say that? Or did,
Allah said in Quran, yeah.
so you're saying Allah said that?
It is sealed.
Yeah.
After this is a seal. If you believe it, up to you. If you don't believe it, up to you.
Well, who wrote the book
But
though?
He said Allah sent this
Who
book.
wrote the book?
Allah sent this book.
In the
And
same book, it says that Allah will send a messenger speaking to the language that the people speak. We don't speak Arabic here presently in the
Okay.
Americas. Most of the people here speak French,
English.
Spanish.
Yeah, everywhere. Like if you go to Turkish,
But-
they don't speak
But
English.
there's a reason for that, right? Due to the Spanish Inquisition and colonialism, that language was taken from us.
Which language? Arabic.
Yes.
So in which language this?
It's in present is given to us in English because that's the language.
That's the language we speak.
Okay, so
Because our previous language that we were speaking.
But- Let's say that, sorry to interrupt you. There could be the point that, remember, we were instructed also to learn Moorish Latin, which is Spanish.
Yes.
There may have also been a call for us to learn Arabic too, right? So that could have been a call. But one of the questions that I pose to you is, are you saying to me that all the people that are Christians, then they're all destined for hell? All the people that are reading the Torah, they're destined to hell? Because aren't those the
this is
books?
not. I'm not saying this. This is the
I'm
decision.
just asking you, you know that, right?
Yeah. Okay. So this is the decision of Allah. Let me finish that part. When
Yeah,
he
yeah.
said that, okay, let me give the whole world. Okay, he will say that if he is a Christian, he is a Hindu who did not worship Allah, he did not believe on Allah, he has some other religion, which Allah Ta'ala did not send. So he would like to give the whole world. And Allah Ta'ala will say, no, even if you give this word or another same word, you cannot be saved from the hellfire. Allah Ta'ala is not going to accept
So
any
Allah
other
would send the
religion.
Bible and the Torah just to send them to hell.
Yes, after Quran, you need to believe on Quran. Now there is, because they don't believe on Allah, they say that Allah has partner. Jesus is his partner, Mary is his wife, is her partner, and they say that
That story that you're speaking of.
not me. It
No,
is
I know that was changed from the
No,
original.
this is once you associate any partner with Allah, or you say that there is another God also. He has a son, he is like God, and he has a wife, she is also like a God.
Mhm.
So you have not one God, you have three gods. You are not believing only on Allah.
So who's Prophet Muhammad?
Prophet Muhammad is a person, like a human, like us.
But he as a prophet, he's a messenger of Allah.
He is a messenger of Allah. Allah Ta'ala revealed the book, but he said, if Prophet Muhammad, this last time I told you it is written also in Quran, if you want to read it, I can show you, that if he has added one single word or subtracted one single word, we are going to hold his right hand. Allah Ta'ala said, we are going to hold from Prophet Muhammad's right hand, and we are going to cut his jugular vein.
Right.
So he cannot add one single word or remove any one single word from Quran. Can you read it from there also?
No, but that's good though, because for what you're talking about, right?
Mhm.
As far as the literature of the Quran given to Muhammad from Allah, that's where yours goes. In our literature, our literature is from our prophet, right? Our literature is from our prophet, and it was brought to us in a language that we speak, so we can get these same lessons that you have in your Quran.
Okay.
But they're given to us in a way for us to understand it, because we don't speak Arabic,
Okay.
right? But it comes from Allah. So when you say about changing the word or whatever, yeah, we know that Prophet Muhammad directly received this from Allah. The same way that Noble Drew Ali directly received the book that we have, that we gave you, from Allah. But that is for us over here. It's not for everybody to have. It was specifically for us. It was prepared for us, right? The people of North America who didn't know themselves, didn't have religion, didn't have any culture. Now we can start tying ourselves back to the true culture.
So what does this book say? That is it sent from Allah?
No, you'll read it and you'll find out. Because we can't tell you what it is. You're gonna have to read
Quran, it. That for me, Quran is from Allah. Okay.
That right, because
First point is
because of where you're coming from.
No, not I'm coming.
Yeah, because of you being Muslim. Because if you weren't Muslim, you wouldn't be telling us that Muhammad and Koran. You'd be telling us Jesus or something else, right? So because you're Muslim, we understand where you're coming from, right? But that's for the believers. Even in here, it says it's for the believers. We're not believers. Not that we don't know who Allah is. We know who Allah is. We don't believe in Allah though. We know who Allah is. We know what Allah can do.
Yeah.
We don't have to be taught what Allah can do. We know what Allah is.
Okay,
Right?
I got your point, but for me, what is in your book? Like you said, Noble really went to East to bring some lost keys, and what did he say to you? That if your brother come from East, you should listen to them. They have the lost keys. What did I don't? You discussed this.
No, actually, he didn't say. Actually, he said opposite of what you said.
Hmm?
He said opposite of what you said. Was it?
The lessons of this pamphlet are not for sale, but for the sake of humanity. As I am a prophet, and the servant is worthy of his hire. And you can receive this pamphlet at expense. The reason these lessons have not been known is because the Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine had these secrets and kept them back from the outside world. And when the time appointed by Allah, they loosened the keys and freed the secrets. And for the first time in ages, these secrets have been delivered in the hands of the Muslims of America. All authority and rights of publishing of this pamphlet, 1927, by Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
So is it written in this one also?
Yeah, in the first,
So where?
first page.
First page.
It says, know thyself and thy father God Allah.
Actually, one of the world's famous is when the prophet said, when the foreigners come over here, the Muslims started talking to Russia.
Yeah.
You hear me, brother?
Yeah. So when you read it, so the idea, what you're talking about, the perspective of what you're talking about, right? That the people from the East have the keys.
So
It's not like they have the keys. It's not that they have the keys to. It's not that they have the keys to free us. Right here. This right here.
Okay, so I will read it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
will see that.
Yeah. So that's where that's the start of our holy book. That's our holy book at the start of our holy book. Right? So in your time, when you read it, and then you can highlight, you can underline, and then anything you can bring back. And then we can take the Quran, take that, we could show that it's the same stuff. Just you have yours that was for you. We have ours that was for us. Christians have theirs, that's for them. Buddhists have theirs, that's for them. Everybody has theirs, that's for them. There's no, Allah doesn't pick sides, right? There's no sides.
Different nations.
Right?
So what do you think that there is only one religion that he accepts? There is only one way that is correct. All others are wrong ways. People are believing, but whatever is their belief, if you see a person, he is worshipping idols. For him, he is God. He start from the childhood till his youth or in his old age.
Yeah, but
he
some
dies as a
people
non-Muslim.
some people are in an adult body, but they're still child.
Okay.
That's what those people are.
Okay.
So it's not that they're wrong, but where they are is that's where they are. Doesn't mean they're wrong. Means that they haven't evolved yet to know higher. All they know is what it is that they know.
So what means for Allah, his religion is not acceptable. Allah is going to accept only one religion, that is correct. And in case if I am a Muslim and I don't, I believe on Allah, but I don't do anything right or whatever his, he told me that I have to pray, I have to fast, I have to perform Hajj. I'm not doing those things, so I will be punished. It is not that he will leave me, okay, you did not pray.
That's fear. That's fear. For us, that would be fear. Right? So fear for us, break it down. F would stand for false and evidence appearing real. So that fear that you have from what you've read and your outward life, you're living in fear. Right? For us, we're taught, man knows not by being told, and we're given.
You need to be
certain
feared.
keys.
You need to be feared from Allah and His punishment. You should not be like free that okay, we have to whatever.
All it teaches us love. All it teaches us, we don't.
If Allah teaches us to be righteous, then there should be nothing to fear.
No, you should.
You fear. No, we're not talking about don't fear Allah.
Yeah.
We're talking about after Allah. You're not supposed to have any fear after Allah, because Allah is all.
His love and fear, all you should be feared from His punishment.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. But I would
You
say,
should, yeah.
but I would also, sorry, I just wanted to ask you a question though here. So you're saying to me that we have to fear Allah because Allah is going to punish us. But do you see that this punishment is happening in the here and now? Can you show me, because these are some of the questions, because I want to get us back focused onto a common ground.
Okay.
Because we both agree that Allah is here. We do agree maybe that there's this book. We can agree to that there's this book. We can read that book and follow every word of it. But from my perspective, this Allah seems to be kind of a little bit loose. Excuse my insult here. But from the perspective that, okay, all those who follow Allah, they're going to get their rewards. The ones that don't follow Allah don't get that reward. But I look around, and that's why I wanted to talk with you. Do you not, you guys probably have issues within your temple or in your community that would speak to energies outside of Allah, like maybe people not having a home or getting food or these things. Because everyone who should be worshiping Allah and
Should be taken care of.
should have everything. We should be good. But that doesn't seem to happen. I'm sure you know people back home maybe who have died due to things,
Yeah,
right?
don't have
Due to things. But hold on, they were doing salah, right? They were following the book. So, but they were killed in, let's say, murdered or something. So where does Allah fit into that? So my question is, if your position is then that the reward we're going to get is not here, then that's one thing. If the reward is that we're going to get what we're going to get by following Allah here, I am doubtful that is really happening, because I'm seeing people that are following the book, but they don't seem to be getting the reward. And then I see people that aren't following the book
And getting all the
and
rewards.
getting all the rewards. So my question to you is just what's your position on that? Because I hear what you're saying about all that stuff, because I think to myself too, you're here as a soldier for Allah here, right? Passing on, right? You're here passing the word on to us, right? Doing the good work for Allah, right? But where are, let's say, where are the rest of these people who should be here with you, supporting you, even from, because you come here with 5 people before. Where are they now?
They can come, no issue.
No, I know, but I'm just, but you see what I'm saying? So my question is to you, very simply, where do you see the position of following this line, which is salat and all those things, and the reward, and how does that match up with what seems to really be going on here now?
Okay, so let me reply to your question that for us, this world and once Allah Ta'ala said in Quran that this is or in this, a goat, like a goat, like
Goat, animal?
Goat, yeah, goat.
Goat, yeah.
So one Prophet was passing by a goat, it was dead. So he said to his companion that what is the value of this goat? Anyone will like to tell? He said, no, nothing, it is invaluable, even because we don't eat the dead flesh meat.
Yeah.
So he said, the world is like that. It has no value at all. If you compare to the heaven or paradise with world, this world is just nothing. This world is just nothing. If you, as per comparison, we don't think that if we are hungry, if we are died, or if we are suffering, if we have no food, when we compare to these things to the paradise, these things have no value. We're not behind those things.
No.
We are just working for paradise.
Now, when you say about paradise and you say about hell,
yeah,
is there anywhere in Islam that, from what you understand, that heaven and hell is really a mind state, not somewhere that you go?
In Quran it is mentioned very clearly, for heaven what will be in heaven and what will be in hell.
So heaven is a place you go. After you leave the physical, you go to a place either in heaven, or if you didn't follow the instructions, then you're going to
Allah's deceived. So
right.
We believe on Allah, and heaven, he described the heaven very well.
Yeah.
That once they will see, they will never like to leave that place. They will be astonished. They will be decorated. Even the heaven will be decorated, and they will have like golden bangles and
Golden bangles, eh?
What
Yeah,
if
this is what
Not just normal bangles.
what if that was all the mind?
Not the mind. You can see it. You will physically like it. The
No,
world
no,
you
but
are
what
seeing
if, what
it.
if that was a place in the mind where, when you're there in the mind, you're not even looking at anything else out there. Because you're just there in the mind. You're in heaven in the mind. You know what I mean?
No, you will see it and you will enjoy it.
Do you think people's
So
actions?
next week I will bring you the ayah from Quran. What is heaven and what is hell? So as per his brother Umar question, for us these calamities or these things are very short period of time. You are gonna leave it one day. So these are for tests. So once you pass this test, and Allah Ta'ala said in Quran, the successful people are who are saved from hellfire and went to the Jannah. They are the successful. For us, these things have no meaning. Really, if I have no food, I'm not behind this world. I don't care. I will die one day. So if I have no money, I have no bank balance, I have no home, I am back in my country, I am contented. It's okay, no issue at all. What I am here is what Allah Ta'ala created for human and jinns. This is what also I told before, I showed you in the ayah. Allah Ta'ala said, we created the human and jinns nothing except for our worship. That's it. So you worship, you are gonna die. You are not gonna take anything once you leave this world.
Yeah.
So this world, if we have nothing, it is his question, and why he is giving us. If he is giving us nothing, if he doesn't give us, we don't mind it.
That's what I mean. Like, what if that, what you're saying previously, you just said, was all a state of mind? Like you said, like you just said it, this world is nothing. So where it is with you is elevating and raising your vibration, right? before you leave this realm, you gotta raise your vibration, right?
Raise our vibration. I don't say anything by myself. Whatever I am consulting, I'm consulting from, and whatever I say, if it is in Quran, I will say. If it is not in Quran, I will not say. What is in Quran?
That's right.
But that's what we call indoctrination.
Yeah.
There is no imagination.
Indoctrination.
Give us a good chance to break this down.
Because you said you don't listen to anything else other than the Quran.
I don't say I don't listen. I am listening, I am with you, I am seeing the whatever you are feeling, but I am saying that Quran is the book from Allah. And you need to read that book and you need to follow that religion He sent. The correct religion is one. You are thinking that you are right. Think for a second. If Allah sent me here and it is also true. Think for a second, if I am right and you are wrong, you did not follow me. Once we go there, Allah Ta'ala said, okay, I sent you the clear guidance to why you did not listen to that guy.
But that's the same thing as our Quran, that what you're saying, that's what we say about our Quran.
Yeah.
That it came from.
Is it written in this book also that if you did not believe one day, maybe once you will be questioned?
This book tells you not to believe. You're not even going to think about belief.
You're gonna know.
It's about knowing. It's not about believing.
Yeah. That's why he said earlier, man knows not by being told. So for us, it's like we study to know. Not to believe, but to know. There's belief, faith, and fruition. You pass belief already. You're at fruition now. But
You're thinking that where we're at is that we didn't figure out what Allah's message was. We figured out Allah's message through the prophets, because we're not just studying our prophet only, but all the prophets we study. All of their holy books we study. We still study Vedas, and we study Book of the Dead. We study everything, because everything has lessons in it.
Okay. So what is your prospectus about Quran? That are you gonna believe or you are gonna study for Quran? Because Quran for us, Allah Ta'ala said, this is from me, and I will.
We're not impartial. We like you just said, we're not impartial. That sounds like impartiality. You're saying Quran.
You're saying that sounds like partiality. Impartial means that you don't hold. You're not.
Yes, partial. Yeah.
No, I'm saying he's being partial with what's going on, and we're you know what I mean. But we're including all of it. Like you're just saying Quran.
Okay.
And you've never read that Circle 7. Have you read the Torah?
No.
I personally haven't, but we know
Did you read
from what our teachings.
Have you read the Bible?
Did you read Bible?
I've read certain segments. Have you?
No.
So
Ask you a
as
question.
far
Here's just one quick. Do you guys watch movies? Do you read anything other than the Quran?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. What other things?
There are not all people are same.
Right.
There are some people, maybe they will be reading, maybe they will be watching the movies, but
Right.
I also watch the movies, but it doesn't mean that my whole life is
Right. Okay. No, I just wanted to ask. That's all. Sorry, Renee. Go ahead.
No, we're just impartial, right? We're not gonna, like you said, we know where you're coming with this. You want us to stick mostly by the Quran, but we're not partial. We're impartial, so we don't just stay on one. In our school of thought right here, manifested by Allah, this school of thought right here called the More Science Temple of America. Our book is the Quran of the King. So now maybe you need to go, like you said, you got a copy now. Maybe you need to go read that copy in the next class when you come back next time. Because it's a short read. You can read it in a day. Right?
It's like how do you know that Allah didn't send Noor to be outside when you were passing that day? And Allah put Noor out there for you to get so you can be here.
Yeah. Okay, I will read this one, and actually, we can discuss whatever. Like for me, I read Quran, and I can show you those verses. If you have something in the book, if I have question, you can show me. Like if I say how you describe Allah, or your Quran, how you describe Allah. I I have
Yeah.
that. How is Allah? What are His powers?
Yeah.
So how you describe? Because for me, his whole book. This is a big book, and maybe 30 or 40% of part is all about
Same way
Allah's-
you describe him in the Quran, it's the same way we describe him. Where's it? You can't see him.
Well, we have chapter 36 or 35 religion, and we can read that back to you.
Yeah, that's true. What's the time you're trying?
The 35 religion have 35 gods. They don't believe on Allah, or they are associating with.
No, I'm saying we have a chapter that describes exactly what you're asking about with Allah, in terms of what his powers are and how we see him.
Yeah, how you see him? This is what I want to ask. You can tell me. This is like from
Do you want to read that, or do you want to?
You have it there?
Yeah, right here. So the holy instructions of from the Prophet, religion. So this is talking on religion, right?
Allah, how is Allah?
There is but one Allah. So this is what it starts off with. There is but one Allah, author, the creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. Right? 2, the Son is not Allah. That's what we're taught. The Son is not Allah. Can you agree with me?
Yeah.
Right? Though it is his noble image. It's his noblest image that we got for Allah, the Son. Everybody looks up to the Son, right? Right?
Or light comes from the sun, right?
Right. The enlightenment of the world with his bitterness.
Brightness.
So, his enlightenment, or enlighteneth the world with his bitter brightness. His warmth giveth life to the products of the earth. Admire him as a creature, the instrument, or of Allah, but worship him not. To the one who is supreme, most wise and beneficent, and to him alone belong worship, adoration, thanksgiving, and praise. Who hath stretched forth the heavens with his hands, who hath described this with his fingers, the courses of the stars, who setteth bounds to the ocean, that it cannot pass, and saith unto the stormy winds, be still. Who shaketh earth, and the nations tremble, who dareth his listenings, and the wicked are dismayed, who calleth forth the worlds by the words of his mouth, who smiteth with his arm, and they sink into nothing. O reverence the majesty of Omnipotent, tempt not his anger, lest thou be destroyed. The providence of Allah is all his ever works. He ruleth and directeth with infinite wisdom. He hath instituted laws for the government of the world. He hath wonderfully varied from them in all beings, and each by his nature conformeth to his will.
So right there, maybe Cooper, you can read that again, that part?
He hath instituted laws for the government of the world. He hath wonderfully varied them in all beings, and each by his nature conformeth to his will.
So to me, what he's telling you is that Allah has many different creatures, and each one of them, in their own will, conforms to his will. Go on.
In depth of his mind, he revolveth all the knowledge. The secrets of the futurity lie before him. The thoughts of the heart are naked to his view. He knoweth thy determination before they are made. With respect to his presence or prescience, there is nothing contingent. With respect to his providence, there is nothing accidental. Wonderful is he in all his ways. His counsels are inscrutable. The manner of his knowledge transcendeth by thy conception. Pay therefore to his wisdom all honor and veneration, and bow down thyself in humble and submissive obedience to this.
There's the salat right there, bowing down. That's the salat. Go ahead.
The Father is gracious and beneficent. He hath created the world in mercy and love. His creatures of his hand declare his goodness, and their enjoyments speak of his praise. He clothed them with beauty. He supported them with food. He preserved them with pleasure, for generation to generation. If we lift up our eyes to the heavens, his glory shineth forth. If we cast them down on the earth, it is full of his goodness. The hills and the valleys rejoice and sing. Fields and rivers and woods resound his praise. By thee he hath distinguished for peculiar favor and exalted thy station of all creatures. But thee he hath endued with with reason to maintain thy dominion. He hath fitted thee with language to improve thy society and exalt thy mind with powers of meditation.
Mediation.
Or
Powers of mediation.
okay, mediation. I got meditation here.
Okay.
Meditation. Yeah, so mediation. You got left off the T on yours, eh?
I guess.
Mediation to contemplate and adore his inimitable perfections. And then the laws of he hath adorned as the rule of life, so kindly hath he united the duty to thy nature, that obedience to his precepts is happiness to thyself. O praise his goodness with songs of thanksgiving, and meditate in silence on the wonders of his love. Let thy heart overflow with gratitude and acknowledgement. Let the language of thy lips speak praise and adoration. Let the actions of thy life show thy love to his law. Allah is just and righteous, and will judge the earth with equal equity and truth. Hath he established his laws in goodness and mercy? Shall he not punish the transgressors thereof? O think not, bold man, because the punishment is delayed, that the arm of Allah is weakened. Neither flatter thyself with hopes that he winketh at thy doings.
This is where you're right, where you're saying that no matter if we're not following Allah, this is what's next.
Right, he's saying, so neither flatter thyself with hopes that he winketh at thy doings. His eye pierces the secrets of every heart, and he remembereth them forever. He respecteth not the persons or the stations of men. So he respecteth not the persons or the stations of men. Interesting. And the high and low, the rich and the poor, the wise and the ignorant, when the soul hath shaken off the cumbrous shackles of this mortal life, shall equality receive from the sentence of just and everlasting retribution according to their works. Then shall the wicked tremble and be afraid, but the heart of the righteous shall rejoice in his judgments. This is what I was saying, have no fear, we're living in fear of Allah, we love, he teaches us love.
We love also.
Right, so
love and fear together.
Right.
For us, love and fear together.
Well, great, that's what it touches on this now. So, O fear Allah, therefore, all the days of his life, and walk in the path which he hath opened there before thee. Let prudence admonish thee. Let the temperance restrain. Let justice guide thy hand. Benevolence warm thy heart, and gratitude to the heaven inspire thee with devotion. These shall give thee happiness in thy present state, and bring thee to the mansions of eternal felicity in the paradise of Allah. This is the true economy of human life, and that's how it is.
So what is this chapter?
Chapter 36.
35.
What is the page number?
What's the page number?
35. Page 80, sorry.
All instruction from the Prophet.
So that explains what we feel or what our position is on Allah. To me, is very
It's
similar.
all same. Yeah,
Yeah, it's all same. Exactly.
So that's what I say. And I don't mind continuing to talk about these things. But where I see our issue is, to me, I think we, as people who are worshiping Allah, that there are real issues outside of these temples, with our families back home, all the kind of stuff that's going on.
These are tests from Allah. These all are written even for prophets. Their life was not easy. You think that they were enjoying everything they had? No, they were also passed from the test.
So I hear you with that one, and this is where I have my issue. I got no problem having tests, but I want to make sure that everyone has these tests.
Everyone has.
No, hold on, because what I sense is the test of trying to make my rent, or the test of trying to feed my family, or the test with trying to not get shot in the streets is different than the test that the guy who has his house, who doesn't have to worry about money, who has all these things. So as I said, I got no problems with the tests. I just think that it's funny how certain people have certain tests and other people have other tests. And now you can say that those things are designed for whatever, but what I sense for the most part is a lot of our tests happen to be economic. Trying to just keep some food in our stomach or keep the heat on or the lights on. And I think that I see other people having tests of exactly what you're talking about, the tests of the spirit and the soul. But yet our tests always seem to be about trying to make some rent. We're trying to, protect our family. And that's where I have an issue with this Allah who's testing everyone. Because to me, then the test should be the same.
Actually, you think that the money is for, like, if you are paying the rent, and if you are
I'm just using that. I'm using that as an example.
You are using it as an example. It's when you are thinking that money is the solution of everything. If I give you a full money, whatever money you want, if I give you.
So I'll say, why don't we start with that?
No,
I want you to give it to me first. Don't just talk about it. Give it to me first, and then we can talk. Go on. Right, Cujo? Give me all that money, and then we can talk. Go on. What were you saying?
No. If I give you the money,
right?
I put you something like your heart has problem, your stomach has some problem,
right.
You cannot digest properly,
Right.
your tooth has some problem. If I give you the money, still you cannot enjoy. You will have another
I see what you're
test.
saying.
Like Bill Gates, even
Well, you see, but
his wife left him. You think that they don't have any problem, they don't have any stress? They have stress.
But I'll say this to you. This is how. Let's sort of sum it up. I'll say this. I know, but I'm just. I use that as an example. But I'll say this: if we've got 100 problems over here, what I'm saying is that there are other people that only have 40 problems. And what I'm saying is a lot of those problems tend to be problems of just your existence. Let's say, as I said, feeding your family. Keeping your son and daughter in some clothing. These things, to me, are part and parcel of what I would think are additions to the test, which I think come out of this madness that we're dealing with. So I'm not disagreeing with you that everyone has certain tests. I'm just finding it odd that it seems that certain people seem to have certain tests, and other people seem to have other tests. And the tests that we seem to have are much more severe on a certain level than the tests that they have. And to me, if we were going to be tested, then it should be an even playing field. It should be all of us have all of the things. Now give us the test. Are we doing our salat? Or are we reading the Koran? Fair enough. But if you don't have a rug to pray on, does that mean that you're not honoring Allah? If you don't have a house to be with, does that mean that you're not honoring Allah? If you don't have the money to be able to afford to have a wife, does that mean that you're not honoring Allah? So these are the things that I just ask out of just trying to find some common ground and trying to understand that to me this Allah is very just seems to be sort of very. It just seems I have a lot of questions as to how she seems to mete out the tests that we have.
I told you already that you are just thinking that money is the solution of everything, and I told you the reply that if he gives you the whole money, he puts you in another test. But everyone has to have passed through a test. You can never think that he give you a wife, he give you a children, he give you everything, and suddenly he give you the money, and suddenly he gives something. Your children is not obeying you. It's from his will. You are doing everything. You give him everything. He gave you so much stress. You have all the money.
So from his will,
yeah,
he has made your children not obey you.
Yeah, not obey. Yeah, wow. He can make your wife not obey you.
And here's a question for you now: as you following the book, you have any issues?
I have.
Okay.
But the issues don't matter.
No,
because
I know these are the tests, and
because that's part of the journey.
Agree. I will
are any of them about money?
Yeah, money.
Hold on. No, oh, come on, guys. I know. Kudo, hold on. Kudo. He's missing. What were you saying? No,
I told you that everyone has like your
Yeah.
mindset is money can solve your 90% of the problem. For me, money is just nothing. If I have it's okay. If I don't have it's
Yeah,
okay.
I agree.
Means I know that he can put you in any kind of test.
Absolutely.
Very small test, like you hit a car or you can bomb.
Well, like you say, you get a stomach thing and you can't digest the food.
Yeah.
So you feel your position is, though, that it is in following the Quran.
No, go ahead.
Your issue is in following the Quran and following the word. This is the answer.
If I have if I have those things, if I don't have those things, I will still.
No, I don't mean anything else. I'm saying your position is that it's in the Quran and following His word or Allah's word.
So it doesn't mean that if I will follow His whole word, He will give me everything. In
No, I agree. But you're saying that, but that is the path.
Yeah, that is the path. Brother Koji wants to go, so he's standing.
Yeah.
Oh no, just stretching.
So, well, we were supposed to come by. If you were to come by, so we'll be in a situation like this, kind of, and we're sitting down and communicating.
Yeah, if you want.
I definitely want to come by there and sit down in your home,
Yeah,
so to speak.
this is what we agreed last time, and
Yes.
people are waiting. They ask me every time, and
Right.
they are
So
coming.
Kujo, what do you, I really
Next
feel. Next week? Okay, so for 2:00?
What time? What time?
Like 1:30,
1:30?
because we pray at 1 o'clock, so you can come.
1:30? And then we just come to the door?
Okay,
Okay,
it's
well,
almost
I
like
phone
open.
you.
It is like this. It is open,
Yeah,
so you can come inside. Or I
Wonderful.
can come.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, you're running time. You are now doing that.
This is good. This is good. That's lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
Zahid.
Hey,
Brother
Koji.
Yeah, sure.
Tell all the brothers.
Yeah, we will see. I don't know the name.
Zahid.
Zahid? Who's Zahid?
That's right. That's a magic word. That's a magic name.
Assalamu alaikum.
Islam, Mars.
Very much. Ready?
Yeah, let's close out.
Did you know he was coming? Did you know the lesson?
I just got prepared.
I feel like they feel like we're close because we are talking about a lot, but I feel like there's no room in their hearts for anything but,
Yeah.
well, yes,
Cloud on the left, two on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth. Peace. Freedom. And justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Through a holy prophet.
Through a holy prophet.
Noble Drew Ali.
Noble Drew Ali.
Islam.
Islam.
Islam, Mars.
Pushing, eh?
You've been in the job, shining. It's like, it's not
Gotta
working.
get us in, yeah.
So when he talks about